Is this going to be the last Battlefield game that we ever get? Hi, my name is Young Noodle, and today I want to talk about the recent announcement of the new Battlefield that's being in development. Now, EA just recently announced that they're working on a new Battlefield. It's going to be going back to the roots of the modern day 64-player server, no specialist Battlefield. And their basic thing that they wanted to get across to all of us is that it's going to be back to the game's roots, back to what we love, the Bad Company, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 style, none of this like futuristic stuff and everything like that. And today I want to talk about whether, I know it sounds weird that, the last Battlefield game that we ever get, and obviously that's up in the air, but EA has recently been canning, firing, and canceling projects on a lot of things that we were excited about. There was supposed to be a Titanfall game that was going to be announced that there were rumors of, and there's rumors of cancellation of that, as well as the cancellation of the recent Star Wars game that they had, and they had a bunch of layoffs for their recent games and stuff not doing very well. So they recently, I believe, laid off like 5% of their staff. Again, I don't know the metrics exactly, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, they've been canceling a lot of stuff and letting go of a lot of people. And then now at a recent conference, they supposedly said that they're very confident in using a lot of AI generated stuff and AI towards working towards the development of their games. And that concerns me. I'm a big Battlefield fan. I've been playing Battlefield since I was a kid. I remember renting Battlefield Bad Company 1 from Blockbuster. I played Bad Company 2, I played Battlefield 3, I played 1942, I've played through everything. My favorite Battlefield, in my opinion, was Battlefield 3. I grinded the hell out of that game. I started that game on console on a PS3, which is probably something to make fun of, but I hit rank 100 and something on that game, and then that's when I first got my first PC at 15, and then I started playing on PC, and it was just from there. I love the games. I love the destruction. They were always a game that you can hop on, grind, unlock stuff, and they had like every battle was different. Like you can destroy almost everything, which was unheard of for most games because most engines cannot handle the fact that there was destruction in everything, give or take a few games. But for the modern games, the modern shooters like Call of Duty, Battlefield, and stuff like that, Battlefield had it with the destruction. So I'm always excited when the new Battlefield comes out. I was a little bit underwhelmed, well actually pretty much underwhelmed with 2042 coming out and doing the specialists, and then not really having as much destruction, more focusing on like the futuristic stuff, and there's some level events and stuff. They brought back some old maps, and it's a lot better now than it was on release. But like going from like, I remember Battlefield 4 announcing Levolution and the maps having like ships that could crash into land and the weather altering effects and stuff, and then we get a new game and it's mainly just tornadoes and a couple destroyable buildings. Like that's not what Battlefield was. So it didn't feel like a Battlefield game in the beginning. It does feel a lot better now though. If you haven't played 2042, I do recommend jumping back in. It is pretty fun. But in my opinion, as you can see in the footage here, I'd rather jump back into something like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, stuff like that. Those are my jams. But with EA announcing that they want to do AI generated stuff, and then on top of that they also want to lay off people, cancel projects because some of the stuff is not doing very well. It's kind of scary because obviously EA games already are on like a bad path, and then having stuff, whether it's for inspiration or not, having something AI generated instead of an actual creative mind working on that stuff is ridiculous, and I think it is the worst thing in gaming. I understand that there's already AI implemented into a lot of stuff, and for example, we even have AI for frame generation to help get better frame rates on games through NVIDIA, but that is not a creative thing, that is a performance thing. When it comes to creativity, AI should never be replacing creativity, and that's the problem that I have. And the reason why I am saying that this could possibly be the last Battlefield game that we get is Battlefield 2042 tanked their stocks, and it did really, really poorly compared to what they thought it would be. So if we get another multi-million-dollar project on this huge franchise that does poorly, we're possibly looking at not getting another Battlefield for a very long time, or them just scrapping it like they've done some of their other projects. They've already scrapped the Star Wars game for the Mandalorian game that they were recently going to announce, which would have probably done really well. That's what I don't understand in modern gaming too. We have a lot of cancellations for stuff that people actually want, and a lot of rumors get shut down for things that are really good ideas, and then we just get this garbage slop. Like, look at Concord compared to what Sony could have released with Last of Us Factions or Spider-Man multiplayer or Bloodborne remake or something, and instead they just released slop and garbage. And like, good on them for trying to do a new IP, but come on, a 6v6 hero shooter. But anyways, that's not the topic of today's video. I just really hope that the new Battlefield does stay true. It's not often that we get a game or a company that announces that they're going back to their roots. They usually 99% of the time it doesn't go well. So I'm hoping that they bring back the destruction, bring back the map variability, you know, bring back, even if it's corny, and say you're bringing back Levolution. That stuff was cool. Changing the maps, not having specialists. Sure, have classes like the engineer, the sniper, the support, the assault. That was what made Battlefield great. You had your 4 classes, and you know, bring back the customizability and the vehicle destruction along with everything else, you know? In Battlefield, when it comes to Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Bad Company, even Battlefield 1 and 5, the classes felt variable enough, and it was always cool in those games where, like, for the most part, the tanks were fighting the tanks and other vehicles. The infantry was fighting the infantry. The planes were fighting the planes. And you had the dogfights in the sky. The water vehicles were going after each other. And then there would be a mix, but it was cool enough that you had all these little segments of like gameplay that, like, hey, if I'm bored of running around as a trooper or infantry, I could go into like one of the jets and just start dogfighting. And if I really like that, I could just do that and never touch infantry. Like, that was the other cool thing that Battlefield did that I felt didn't feel as special in 2042, was the fact that, like, there were so many different styles of gameplay in those games, and they all had unique things that you could do. And that was what really brought those only in Battlefield moments, which I feel like we don't get as much of in 2042. And I don't know if it's whether the operators or the destruction or just the game as a whole, but like, they even had that classic mode. I forgot what it was called. I haven't played in a long time, but that classic mode, I think it was Battlefield Portal, where you can go and play like the old style like Battlefield modes, but with the mix and match guns. So you could have like Battlefield 1 tanks in Battlefield 2042 maps. And they put such little effort into that. And I know it's been patched and they've done like some updates and stuff to it now, but it's just like all these little things that I feel like it's not only EA, but that's what we're focusing on talking about today. But like all these little things that these companies can just do what their fans want, and they're such good ideas, or like put effort into those things instead of just throwing them out and saying, hey, we're going back to our roots. Hey, here's this mode. And everybody gets so excited and the modes are half-assed and just trash. So please, for the love of God, I just hope that the next Battlefield does return to its roots, and they're not just bullshitting and doing some stuff for like a cash grab to make people happy. Like, if you really want to make people happy, do what you are saying. Stop saying you're gonna do things and then you don't do them, and stop scrapping things when everybody's excited for it and then releasing garbage that nobody asked for. Nobody wants. Like, the coolest thing and the farthest that Battlefield has gotten is Battlefield 4 when you got to, I believe it was the Final Stand DLC. Correct me if I'm wrong. But near the end of the DLC, it followed the lore of releasing into the other Battlefield games, and you got a little bit futuristic. And, like, no one has a problem with the futuristic stuff of Battlefield. At least I don't think. I never had a problem. It was cool when they added the rail guns and the hover tanks and stuff. But, like, make it fit, man. Put effort into this stuff. This is a huge series that is, like, it means a lot to so many people, and people will continue to play it if it's done right. And just not putting effort into it, and this whole thing of, like, making everything a hero shooter with operators and stuff is ridiculous. And that's not what Battlefield is. Just release the game. Make it Battlefield, not features from every other game all added into this one thing and mashed up into a Battlefield title. Bring back destruction, bring back the classes, bring back the fun XP grind. The emblem grinding and stuff like that was really cool too. Like, I've always liked that stuff. The dog tags, the melee animations, Stuff like that is what makes Battlefield Battlefield. So hopefully with the next title, we get something really cool and it is back to the roots. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but this series means a lot to me. So again, make sure to like the video, comment what you think about the new Battlefield announcement and what you want from the game, or what you think about what I was talking about today and what you think really makes Battlefield Battlefield. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.